observing in my 3 weeks of monitoring is a nice bright sunny day. You can deplete the batteries overnight with your home usage and really only take them down about 25%. So you got still 75% capacity left, and then the next day you top them off before noon, and then the rest goes back to the grid. So that's on a good sunny string of days. They've got an Android app that you can use on, I've got it on my tablet with my phone. I can check anywhere how much the panels are producing, what's the state of charge on the battery. Pretty detailed stuff. But also the ThinQ app, you can dump your data out in an Excel spreadsheet, and if you're so inclined, you can do some calculations based on that data. So yeah, it's not too tough, and it's really it's a learning curve for me to understand the what's being displayed and how it relates to the production, storage, surplus energy profile. Our overnight usage will drop it down about 25%. It's fully charged, ready to go before noon the next day. The exciting point for me will be our solstice day here, right? When we've got the sun's at the lowest part of the horizon, shortest day of the year. We'll have a few hours, but let's see what the performance data is like when we go into that dark, long period and watch a lot of TV or bake a lot of cookies or whatever we're doing, and then let's see how we charge up that next day. I'm actually thinking, to me, it looks pretty positive based on how quickly it recharges now. I mean, I don't think we're going to have any sort of problems at all.
Alan's idea was to have 2 panels mounted vertically on the south side of his house. And that's the first time that we have ever done one like that. Most panels are in the south-facing sloped roofs. To justify Alan's point about the solstice, in the winter months, those, even if the shallower roof is covered with snow, those panels will still be operating. And that's another unique feature of his system.
Got my Excel energy bill, and it's gone down, which is great. I think we enabled this during kind of mid-billing cycle, so I haven't gotten a full month of usage yet, but bills are headed the right way down, and so that's great. But really this is just a lot of fun to see what's possible and kind of explore it. And to me, it's one of the reasons I liked their suggestion as far as some benefits is this is expandable, right? I mean, we're talking about maybe doing some sort of wind power into it as well, and so it's a neat configuration for expandability. So that's another benefit. I think you're not really just locked into one source of power, and that'll be fun to play with. Last year I got a really nice return based on the purchase price of the system. It was 30% back from the Fed, and about a little less from the state. But that cost offset to me made it a very realistic proposition.
There is a Colorado organization which helps do solar financing, and not only did they do Alan's job, but they're doing my next job up in Brighton. So people that don't want to outlay the capital cost, they work with them to help with the solar financing. And that wasn't available 25 years ago when Tim and I first started. So that's very helpful, because what we have found is the technical problems can be solved, but usually the biggest hurdle is the financing. And now there's an organization that helps with that.
What would I tell individuals families contemplating something like this? Yeah, jump in both feet, right? I mean, you got superior technologies now than what were just, a few years ago. You got a body of work of installations that have fine-tuned the individuals who work on these projects. I worked with some fantastic individuals here to put this together, and without them, 5 years ago, not possible, right? So that's where we're at, and that's exciting. So we've been generating power now for 3 billing cycles with Excel. For the most part, I think with the exception of maybe 5 days or so in these past 3 months, I've been able to stay off grid pretty much. So that the system's performing above expectation. That first billing cycle, my electrical use had decreased by 90%. My Excel electrical bill was $12. See, so what that calculation isn't including is the power that I put back on that Excel owes me money for. I mean, again, we know it's not going to be a lot, but that's the number that I'll wait to see what that comes out to be.
And I believe that's rolled over month to month and you'll get one check at the end of the year.
I think so.
You might want to change it to not get the check, but roll over your credits, keep your credits. If you're going to add a heat pump and any electric vehicle, anything else, just
Wind system.
the credits are worth more to you than the 3 cents they're going to pay you for. Several years ago, people weren't thinking as much about batteries and backup and survival and all these things. They just simply wanted to generate some solar. Now everyone wants batteries. Suddenly we're interested in, well, could I go off grid? What would that look like? So it's maybe a pretty new a day for considering and recommending vertical modules. I'll have a lot of homes where the homes are too close together and the south wall is shaded by the next building, so
That's right.
don't have the opportunity.
Yeah, Alan happened to have a perfect situation where his backyard didn't have a shade from a house or a tree. I'm going to encourage it in future jobs because all the other panels are covered with, when they're covered with snow, the vertical panels are still producing.
If a customer's main goal is just give me as much solar generation as possible on an annual basis, the vertical panels will be a low performer. Mm-hmm. They're like super powerful for your winter, but but less helpful in the summer, which is when most our sun is coming.
There's an element to when you monitor something and you're paying attention to it, you kind of want to see, well, why am I using more power than I think I should be? If I'm going to do some baking or something, I'm going to wait till I got full energy on the system and then use that electric oven. Now that I can real-time monitor my power usage, every time I see a spike, I ferret out the root cause. And for me, I get to be the watt police, I guess, which my other family members don't necessarily appreciate.
Every system that Tim and I have put in the past 5-10 years, we always give them maybe not this monitoring system because this is new, but a monitoring system.
This monitoring piece of the overall system is called the ThinQ app that you get from LG. And it is monitoring that inbound energy from the panels, as well as state of charge of the batteries, and also your usage, the home usage. So we've got this big orange hump, which corresponds to the generation of the panels and inputting into the overall system. And you've got this really neat scroll bar here, so you can go backwards and forwards in time. You can see we kind of peaked here in power generation, probably about 12:15, 12:30, which that's about peak solar south sunshine is right about there. Happens to actually coincide with topping off of the batteries here, which were being recharged early on in this cycle. And then all that surplus power, so here's the downward pointing mountain, the purple mountain, all that is being put back onto the grid. And so from about 12:30 on, all that surplus power went back out onto the grid. And then you can see, okay, so we start to get to the end of our sun, and we go into tonight with a 100% state of charge, and you can see they're starting to drop down. About the time we start recharging it, it'll be about 50% state of charge. That's been what I've been seeing in general. So pretty typical day to day. Here's the week view. So this is 1 week from Sunday to Saturday. The orange bars are power that we made on the panels, and you can see Sunday was not a great power day. And then here's the downward pointing purple bars are what went back onto the grid. Now see, I had to buy some power here. These upward pointing purple bars. And here's the home usage, right? The blue is kind of right around here. And then we can do the month view as well. January's been tough, so this is 1st of January and end of January. This was a period of some low Sundays, not great Sundays.
And some very bright days.
And then some really great days.
Beautiful.
I did have to go to grid, and that's reflected in my usage on the bill. So there's been a few days here that I had to go back on the grid. I mean, we can even do this for a year. We fired things up about October.
So October, November, December.
Yeah, so we got 3 months of 2024. This app's kind of cool. When I get the right time of use rates in there, it'll say, well, here's how much you saved.
But you can even see our worst month of January had a little excess solar generation over the usage.
Yeah.
And about a wash what came and went to the grid.
Okay, so here's a different monitoring system. It's
AP systems.
AP systems, and so this is looking strictly at the panel output. It doesn't really know anything about the battery backup or any of the other things that the ThinQ app knows all about. But this is, I think, a little more granular view. And so this is today's. It's the main dashboard page. You've got, how much did we make, and what we can do is we can watch this whole graph. And this is starting from first sun, right? And so this is a useful view in that you can kind of see, which panels are coming up and producing
very good.
How much
I
energy.
haven't done that. I didn't realize. Did you know that could do this, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
You could go through the day like this?
The ones that are dark are just the ones that we don't have panels for those.
They don't exist.
But you can kind of watch that. So here's our big verticals. So they're
doing well because the sun is low in the sky because it's January.
big contributors. So they're going to kick in, and then we had a little cloud cover there.
I just learned something. I didn't realize you could do a time lapse like this.
And so now we're getting at the end of the day, right? 3 o'clock. The verticals are still performing pretty good. Now we're going. Now it's the end of the day.
So it just showed the whole day.
Now, one of the things you're probably going to wonder, well, how do we know what panels where? So you can actually put this. I put this drawing together here. You have the number, the identifier reference, I believe, of the actual control or the converter, the microconverter. Microinverter. Thank you. And so I can kind of go back in time or replay that and say, okay, so here's the 422s are the verticals.
Those 2 verticals, okay.
Based on this diagram, and here's, that's the 601s on the east side. They're here, right? They're not.
Right, some are facing east, some are facing west, some are facing south.
So with that reference diagram, here's what's doing what when.
Your roof is pretty complicated, but we could rearrange the locations of all these to try to mimic the look of where they are on the roof.
See, it doesn't have to be a straight
I
line.
haven't figured out how to do that. So
Tim could show you.
You're going to have to show me someday.
Okay, we'll get there. But we need Joe's panel map.
This is the map that we make for every single job, and usually it's just a piece of cardboard and these are when we remember to peel off the serial numbers. One time we forgot, but that was a long time ago. But when we remember, we put the serial numbers, and then your smartphone can take pictures of that and put the serial numbers. This is how his roof actually looks. And this is the vertical wall right here. And this looks just like, and I have my workers as they're installing the system. I usually have a piece of cardboard lying around. That's why most of my systems are on a piece of cardboard. Yeah, the clouds do affect the output of the panels because they're blocking the sun. You can see how much it blocks, but it literally depends minute by minute, day by day, season by season. There's no one answer. We do have calculations called PV watts, which I gave him on day 1 2 years ago, and that's based on 20 years of National Weather Service data for any location in the world.
but they have to have weather data to do it. So I can predict, and I gave that to Alan at the very beginning, and I know I have that sheet, and I'm sure Alan has it somewhere, but that sheet, which is a calculation that I do on the computer and Tim does as well, shows what is predicted for this particular location of that particular animal.
Just look up PV watts.
Yeah, PV watts, WATTS. It's very easy. And actually, Tim and I know the people at NREL that worked on that project, because we both worked at NREL. Do you see it reaching 100%?
Oh yeah, the batteries top at 100%. When we got a good Sunday, we'll top them off even at this time of year.
Okay.
You know, by about lunchtime. That's been a pleasant discovery. Is that, you know, I was worried, well, maybe we can get them to like 80% by the time the sun sets, right? And we'll be, but no, they'll, because of the performance on the panels, they can, on a good Sunday, they can top off by noon.
Now, what about on a day where the panels are covered with snow and only the vertical panels are working?
The verticals will cover the base load on the home, and then we'll trickle charge into the batteries. They're not strong enough to top it off. You know, I can get a 10%, 15% add into the batteries. So if they're at 50%, I can get to 65, maybe 70 on those verticals. I have a lot of control over the LG part of the system through this ThinQ app. You know, I can set it to different modes of operation where I can go into backup mode only, where I'm all grid, and then if the grid fails, I go into a backup situation. I've got it set now to what's called PV self-consumption, where I'm emulating being off-grid, and so I only at a certain threshold will I draw power from the grid. The two apps, the panel monitoring app and then the ThinQ, which is monitoring the LG part of the system, pretty easy to use and they're pretty informative. Of course, you know, there's things I would always want to, you know, there should be a way to integrate the two. I do like monitoring and watching where we're at with the various components of the system.
Most of our customers are happy they have solar and they move on. Whereas Alan's, whether it's because of his job or his time or his whatever, his interest is great that he can monitor this. So it's nice to have a customer that does the monitoring, keeps us posted.
The apps are quite simple, which is its own advantage as a trade-off to a data geek wanting more information sometimes than they provide. Most apps kind of lean this direction because they need a wide range of customers to be able to handle them.
Beth and I are just trying to become as off-grid as possible, to detach from all the systems that I think it's just become commonplace now. But I think as the future as we go further into the future, we're going to have to become more self-reliant, and so that's power. That's, you know, look at everything in your life, right? And just to become more autonomous, and that's kind of where the channel's evolving as far as those projects. Because yeah, we've talked before about water usage, right? I mean, we're blessed because we're in the headwaters. We pull, the Front Range pulls 50% of its water usage out of the Colorado River Basin, which we know is under incredible stress. So we gotta be more efficient with water. That's not optional. And you know, other aspects too. We all have to take a look at that, and hopefully this channel will benefit those people who want to follow this journey. I'm going to make mistakes for sure, and I'll be happy to say, yeah, that was not the right way to go, but that's where we're headed.